Part 29. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 281. In Lu Xiaoming's scan, he not only saw the distribution of people in the entire city, the gathering places of vampires and werewolves, but also saw the approximate strength of these supernatural creatures. Ordinary vampires and werewolves are about the combat power of the first-second level of the game. Not counting the guns in their hands. In the reincarnation space, they are at the level of E-level reincarnationists. The temporary reincarnationists who entered this mission were not too weak, and 1v1 or 2v1 was enough to deal with it. It seems that the first mission of the space was not difficult for the reincarnationists. Some powerful vampires or werewolves can probably reach the third level of elementary and intermediate, and only the most powerful werewolf can barely reach the third level of advanced combat power. Werewolves are a race that can transform, and their combat power will be greatly improved after transformation. But Xiaoming is no longer the same as before. With the sixth level of mental power and the skills of the Zerg, what he actually scanned was the combat power of these werewolves after transformation. The vampires were equally matched. The most powerful one was a third-level intermediate female vampire who was standing on the top of a tall building like himself, pretending to be cool. This vampire had a great figure, and her black tight leather jacket made her look even sexier. But it reminded Xiaoming of a joke: if you fart in tights, will your pants bulge? Thinking of that kind of obscene picture, all the sexy beauty became bubbles. Although the life energy of this beautiful vampire was not bad. But it depends on who you compare with. She is just better than other vampires. But she also has countless wronged souls under her. The situation is somewhat similar to Nai Xiaoqian. Xiaoming couldn't kill them, but if they were in danger of death, Xiaoming was too lazy to save them. Green Xiaoming didn't recognize her as the heroine of this world. Xiaoming was stupid enough to not analyze Selena's identity as the protagonist even though he thought of Nai Xiaoqian. The reason was that there were other things that attracted Green Xiaoming's attention. In a large house full of vampires, there are 3 metal coffins buried underground. One is empty, and the other 2 coffins contain 2 mummified vampires. They are really powerful. If they are restored to their prime, one should be at level 4, and the other should be at level 4. The 3rd and 4th level soldiers are equivalent to D-level reincarnations. Level 4 is not far from C-level reincarnations. C-level reincarnations generally correspond to level 5 soldiers, level 6 soldiers are considered B-level reincarnations, and so on. The physical attributes of the Insect King's body are probably between level 3 and level 4. The mental power has reached the level 6, but it's a pity that he can't use it. For the corresponding mental power skills, Xiaoming only learned a map scan. Although the skill is useful, it has no attack power. With the current level of the Insect King, it is estimated that he may not be able to beat the level 4 advanced guy. Even the level 1 is hard to say, but there is no need to be afraid of him. While they were still sleeping, Green Xiaoming decided to go over and test them. It would be best if he could kill them while they were sick. These 2 old monsters were full of evil spirits and were not good people. He called out to Xiaolu who had been standing beside him. Xiaolu immediately possessed the purple vine armor worn by the Insect King. Xiaoming did not jump from the roofs of various buildings all the way. He went downstairs to steal a Mercedes-Benz and drove to. After finally coming to the reincarnation world, Xiaohong and Xiaolu didn't want to be bored in Guangmingding. Even if it was a blessed land. So Xiaolu followed Green Xiaoming out to play. Xiaohong was responsible for protecting Yin Xiaoming and others. Xiaohong's advantage is that ordinary people can't see her. Xiaoming's group of 5 was surrounded by dozens of ghosts. They were all ghost soldiers released by Xiaohong from the 100 Ghosts box. Anyway, no one in this group could see these ghosts. It's just that there are too many ghosts here, and people nearby feel that the air is a bit cold. However, it's not surprising to be a little cold in the middle of the night. The 5 people wandered around the city with gusts of cold wind. They were more interested in shopping than finding clues. They had a lot of fun. But no matter which store they entered, the waiters inside would be scared. Although the appearance of the 5 people in front of them was not scary at all. But for some reason, the waiters felt very scared. Nonsense. How could it not be scary? Several ghosts floated in with them. People can't see them, but they have some feelings. And most people can't see them, but it doesn't mean that no one can see them. Look, the visible ones are coming. The 5 people were sitting down at a stone table and chair next to a basketball court to rest and eat some snacks brought out by the leader. In the distance, the heroine in a tight leather jacket walked over step by step with a handsome pace. It was Selena. Behind them were 4 vampires dressed in special police uniforms with live ammunition. These 4 vampires obviously couldn't see Xiao Ming's ghost subordinates. But the vampire heroine could see it. Since she could see it, Xiao Ming ordered the ghosts to open the road and float on both sides, showing a welcoming attitude. Seeing this scene, Selena confirmed that these ghosts were controlled by people. However, it was actually her first time to see a ghost, so she didn't know what ghosts were. Just ask the person who controls the ghosts. The Chinese man who was about 20 years old and looked pretty was obviously the main messenger. But Selena was also a little puzzled. Why did this person look at her with such a strange expression? If she knew that Xiao Ming was thinking about something as obscene as farting and bulging, she would probably have shot Xiao Ming to see him off. The 5 vampires were getting closer and closer, and the others who were eating snacks also discovered them one after another. Zhao Yongmeng was the first to react, but he also saw that the leader was watching the people who came over quite calmly, without even lifting his butt from the chair. He had a bottom line in his heart. As a bodyguard-like figure, he still stood up and faced the people who came, posing as a bodyguard. Zhang Wen had the strongest sense of smell for beauties, and he discovered the 5 vampires earlier than Zhao Yongmeng. But he didn't react fast enough. After seeing the pose Zhao Yongmeng made, he wisely posed the same pose on the other side. He wiped off the saliva that flowed from the corner of his mouth when he was looking at the beauties just now. He and Xiao Ming, who was sitting in the middle, lined up in a row, one on the left and one on the right, just blocking the 2 girls, Miss Ju and Xiao Jing'er, behind. At this time, the 2 girls also noticed the situation. Xiao Jing'er didn't move at all, and sat calmly, and didn't even change the speed of drinking the beverage. Little Loli couldn't sit still. She thought the 5 people were trying to snatch food from her, so she stood up and began to quickly stuff the food Xiao Ming took out into her backpack. Please don't think Li Songrui is useless. Xiao Ming's food, which has been strengthened twice, is not something that everyone can easily resist. Xiao Ming's products must be top-notch, and everyone who has eaten them says they are good. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 282. As the top family of the New Han Kingdom and a relative of the royal family of the New Tang Kingdom, the Li family naturally has no shortage of delicious food. With top ingredients and top chefs, even dragon liver and phoenix marrow can probably be eaten in his family. Probably. But Xiao Ming's enhancement is no joke. It is another incomparable, extraordinary feeling. After the second enhancement, this feeling is even more memorable, and Xiao Ming's ingredients are not ordinary things. It was the first time that Li Songrui had eaten such delicious food. She immediately began to protect the food like an old hen brooding on the nest. She didn't even give Zhao Yongmeng food. Xiao Ming was a little naughty. Since Li Songrui didn't give it to Zhao Yongmeng, he didn't give it to Zhao Yongmeng either, so he could only watch but couldn't eat it. Little did he know that this bad taste would backfire. People haven't eaten it, so they don't know it's super delicious. They just thought that the little loli was greedy. How could she really be greedy? The food didn't even belong to her own people, so how could Miss Lee share it with these natives who just walked over? In the little girl's mind, if someone comes at this time, they must come to steal the food. Wishful thinking. She will definitely defend her food to the death. This is a gift from the leader brother to her. Even if the third brother wants to eat it, he can only give him one bite. If it's someone else, considering that there are a lot of people, it seems that there is not enough to share. It's better not to tell anyone. The childish behavior of the little Lolita made the morale of the two parties who were on the verge of a fight plummet. Everyone suddenly lost the desire to fight. Even Selena really wanted to try it. How delicious is it that this little girl cares so much? The atmosphere was completely distorted. Selena absolutely did not believe that a team with such a child would have any intention of fighting. What if the little Lolita was hurt? With Lee Songrui, Xiaoming, and others would never believe that Selena would think that they were out to cause trouble. Although they really were. Since there is no fight, let's sit down and talk calmly. The leaders of both sides, Selena and the leader, exchanged their names. They started a unique negotiation. Whose family are you from? You are too grand. It's unnecessary to bring so many guards to play. The security of the night market is still okay. In her words, Selena hinted that Xiaoming brought dozens of ghosts and paraded through the streets. It was indeed not good, and Xiaoming actually felt that it was a bit too much. The little girl was immediately dissatisfied. Dare to criticize my food supplier? Who do you think you are? She immediately choked. I and the leader brother, and my sister, only brought 2 guards, how can it be too many? You brought 4 alone. The little girl called Xiaoming the leader brother for the first time, and also called Xiaojing her sister for the first time. But she looked at the beautiful woman who just appeared with a cold eye. In her little heart, she was quite hostile to Selena. She did not hesitate to form an alliance with Xiaojing who had always had a bad relationship with her, to deal with the new threat. At such an age, she is a little devil. She is actually good at making alliances. Everyone couldn't help but smile when they saw it. Although Selena looks cool, she has no resistance to cute little girls. This is also related to the experience of her family being killed when she was young. He is always more accommodating to little girls. Yes, you are right. 2 guards are indeed too few. She took out a delicate little pistol and put it in Miss Nine's hand, saying rather dotingly, this is for you, for self-defense. If you encounter a bad guy bullying you, just beat him up. Selena's pistols are all very handsome. She specially picked the smallest one that a 13-year-old girl can use and gave it to Lee Songrui. Thank you, sister, this pistol just suited the violent little girl's heart, and immediately turned enemies into friends. After hesitating for a long time, Lee Songrui took out an unknown fruit from his arms and handed it to Selena. But his face looked very reluctant. The 6 bodyguards on both sides turned their heads to the side together, trying hard to hold back their laughter. Serena was about to refuse, but suddenly she felt the desire, her body wanted to eat this fruit. Why? The desire of vampires for food is only for fresh blood, and the desire for other foods has been greatly reduced. How can such a plain-looking fruit be attractive to vampires? Of course. This fruit is the spiritual fruit that Xiaoming got from the tree demon grandma in the world of a Chinese ghost story 1. It is not something from the human world at all. Coupled with Xiaoming's second enhancement, the taste can really make the gods jump over the wall. In order to win over the little loli, Xiaoming also invested a lot of money. Such things, even vampires can't resist. Serena took the fruit and ate it up in 2 or 3 bites. The look of a starving ghost made the second-level vampires she brought with her extremely embarrassed. This one in her family is enough to embarrass the vampires. Because they are a little far away, their sensitivity is not enough, and they can't feel the temptation of the fruit. Otherwise, they are not as good as Serena. Xiaoming saw this and waved his hand. Only 5 of the dozens of ghosts were still floating outside. The others were collected by Xiaohong in the 100 ghost box. He said to Selena with a pun, "How is it, are you satisfied?" He was very grateful for what he had done, and the ghosts were reduced by 90%. What else could he be dissatisfied with? Selena rolled her eyes at Xiaoming and didn't say anything. Instead, he turned around and gave Miss Nine several more pistol magazines. He comforted and flattered the sad girl who had lost a fruit. He also exchanged phone numbers with the little Lolita and told her that if she had anything, she could call him. His sister would definitely come as soon as possible. You can't blame her for being so enthusiastic. After eating that fruit, her combat power rose a small step and reached the advanced level of level 3. The first time she was nourished by Xiaoming's special energy, Selena's body reacted very enthusiastically. Why is this a bit strange? To express her gratitude, Selena gave up the routine patrol tonight. The 4 subordinates were sent out by her to continue patrolling. She went shopping with Xiaoming and others, saying that she wanted to show her hospitality. No one would believe you except for Li Songrui. Everyone else thought that Selena had other intentions. She must want to take the opportunity to get along well and trick her into eating 2 more fruits. As for Green Xiaoming, he had already sneaked into the place where the 3 coffins were buried. He was operating the computer to raise all the coffins. Xiaoming was very careful. After driving to the vicinity, he parked the car and walked over. He found a node on the periphery and used the intelligent system of hot-blooded Neza, Maomoer, plus his own hacking skills, to first hack into the computer system of the entire mansion. Xiaoming's hacking skills were learned in the world of the Matrix 1, which is a level higher than here. Hacking the vampire's computer system is a bit tricky. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 283. WTF? Peter, how did you get here? Why is there no display of you here? Is the monitor out of order? As a vampire, he actually encountered something incredible. Who is the supernatural creature? This is an important place. What if the monitor is broken? The vampire quickly became a keyboard warrior and started typing codes. Peter's voice was in his ears. No way. It was just inspected not long ago. Since it is a security facility in an important place, it will of course be inspected frequently. The keyboard warrior did not doubt him and stared at the screen to find the problem. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in the back of his neck. Before he fainted, he seemed to see that it was Peter who hit him. This kid is too bold. When he wakes up, he will definitely not let you go. He didn't even know such a simple truth as flag cannot be set up. He was soon sucked into a living mummy and stuffed into a special space. It is obvious that this vampire called Peter is the otaku loser and the mudslide in the reincarnation space, the king of insects, Lu Xiaoming. After controlling the computer system in the vampire mansion, he sneaked in without anyone noticing. In a remote place, he defeated a lone vampire, Peter. By the way, he used the straw on the tail of the insect king to suck him into a mummy and stored it in Guangmingding. Then Xiaoming used the ninjutsu transformation technique to transform into Peter's appearance and ran towards the place where the coffins were placed in the mansion. Along the way, he still tried to avoid other vampires as carefully as possible. Because the more sensitive vampires, if they are serious, can tell whether the guy next to them is a vampire or a werewolf. If it is found that he is not a vampire, won't he be forced to kill? If he alarmed the vampires in the whole mansion, it would be difficult for him to achieve his goal. There are only more than 100 level 2 vampires in the mansion, and there are not many level 3 primary ones. Let the undead army out and fight hard. Xiaoming feels that he can still deal with these enemies. But if they can't hold on any longer, they will definitely wake up the two scary guys in the coffin. Then all the efforts will be wasted. So they quietly entered the village, without shooting. Xiaoming walked and stopped along the way, and even often hid with the help of Guangmingding. Vampires with keen senses are only more sensitive to flesh and blood creatures. They are more sensitive to their own kind and enemy werewolves. But they are completely unfamiliar with things like mind beasts, and can't sense Xiaoming's uniforms at all. Even though Xiaoming was so careful, 7 or 8 vampire mummies were put into Guangmingding one after another. One of them was a pretty vampire. As for the beauty, the otaku Xiaoming was a little gentle. It wouldn't look good if she was sucked into a mummified corpse, half dry would be enough. Lock her up with an iron chain, and there's no need to worry about her waking up. Listening to their conversation, this beauty is called Erika. She is prettier than Xiaohong and Xiaolu. It would be great if she could be subdued. After dealing with the last guard, the important place of the vampire clan fell into the clutches of Green Xiaoming quietly. By the way, Xiaoming's bright summit is now quite large, and has increased to more than 300 cubic meters. And it is still growing. According to Xiaoming's own feeling, because of the establishment of the two energy networks of Silver Net and Green Net, the various supernatural energy systems in Xiaoming's body have gradually stabilized. It began to be reflected on Xiaoming. The increase in telekinesis also reflected on each telekinesis beast. The bright summit attached to the uniform butler is not the biggest change. The biggest change is Xiahe. In the past, Xiahe had to be controlled by Xiaoming's soul, but now it has been transformed into an automatic and remote-controlled telekinesis beast clone. It has lost its previous unique status. Now any Xiaoming can summon Xiahe at any time. However, Xiahe does not belong to the uniform series, and there is only one. Green Xiaoming has now summoned him and the 3 aliens, the eldest and the second, and Silver Xiaoming cannot summon them. The 3 Chimera aliens stood beside him with hideous faces. The appearance of the Insect King was not much better. At this time, Xiaoming had a strong sense of déjà vu that he was the villain. Illegal trespassing on private land, violent attacks, animal abuse, kidnapping, and bondage play, enough to be sentenced to life imprisonment. Of course, even if these things did not happen, if the police saw the Insect King and the alien, they would probably shoot them directly. Looking at their appearance, they really don't look like good things, and human aesthetics are a bit unacceptable. Humans are still a race that values appearance. However, the Iron Blood warriors who had been seen in the secret realm had a very similar appearance level to the Insect King Xiaohe and his group. I guess in their eyes, Xiaoming and his group should be very beautiful. Until these 2 4th-level vampire mummies were sucked into ashes by Green Xiaoming, he did not encounter any resistance or accidents. The heart that had been hanging was finally put down. These 2 mummies must be the leaders of the vampire clan. Considering the timing of the appearance of this reincarnation world, there shouldn't be any stronger guys in this world, right? His Xiaoming made a wrong estimate again. This world really has a stronger hidden boss, Alexander Corvinus. And Xiaoming just killed someone's own son. How could the other party let it go? I guess now, he hasn't received the news yet. When he receives the news, Xiaoming will probably have to face his anger. As for another fierce guy, the first-generation werewolf William, he should not be a problem. Xiaoming, who knew nothing about this, was silently feeling the changes in the Insect King's body. Although he had absorbed the essence of several vampires before, they were too low-level after all, and that little essence was not very helpful to the Insect King. Marcus and Victor were not the same. After absorbing all their essences, he brought the Insect King very excellent genetic information. Especially Marcus, he was a first-generation vampire, and the gene quality he carried was extremely excellent. Victor was on par with Marcus, and the gene quality was only slightly inferior. Although Xiaoming didn't even know their names and identities, he absorbed powerful essences. The insect king could absorb foreign genes and pass them on to his offspring. Of course, he could also directly integrate beneficial genes into his body. After integrating the vampire genetic information, the insect king's physical fitness improved a little bit, and the effect was good. What's even more amazing is that Xiaoming has a pair of huge bat-like wings, allowing the insect king to fly freely. When not flying, it can be retracted into the body to be invisible, which is very convenient. At this point, Xiaoming finally has a way to fly comfortably in the atmosphere. Flying in space by jetting air from the tail seems silly in the atmosphere. It's better to just jump. However, Xiaoming thinks, it would be best to learn how the devourer flies in space. When he has time, he must search carefully in the Zerg Spirit Sea. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 284. Free flying is Xiaoming's dream. With the wings transformed by hot-blooded Neza, he can barely fly. It is actually Mao Mao who flaps the wings. With the second body, the king of insects, Xiaoming can fly in space. But the two combined do not count as free flying. Insects also have limitations. The limitations of the king of insects can be seen from the way they fly. The king of insects flies in jet mode, which is the same as the lowest level of the Zerg, the squid worm and the jellyfish worm. Even ordinary flying dragons of level 3 have better flying methods than the king of insects, and this method is probably instinctive, not a skill that the flying dragon has learned in the spiritual sea. In other words, Xiaoming can go to the spiritual sea to look for it, but it is unlikely that he can find this skill. The insects still have a long way to go before they can stand on their own. The number of races, gene reserves, skill reserves, etc. are far from perfect. The essence of the Zergman is, Xiaoming's source energy and personal shallow knowledge and magic planet's simulation of chimera ants and aliens and the body of the Zerg squid, a patchwork of 4 different creatures. From a biological perspective, it may be possible to become a race, and there is no problem with survival. But it is just a species in the biological world. To become a cosmic civilization that enters space, the Zergman will have to develop for tens of thousands of years. Xiaoming is equivalent to having a base vehicle, and now he needs to find a suitable place to expand. Then he needs to develop the population and climb the technology tree. The game is quite difficult, but fortunately there is the Zerg's spiritual power ocean to help. But there is a benefit and a disadvantage. If you rely too much on the spiritual sea, the Zergman can only become a branch of the Zerg. Of course, Xiaoming himself has not considered making the Zergman a civilized race, let alone a cosmic civilization. What stumped Xiaoming is the development of the population. He is too lazy to spit out so many eggs. Now he just wants to climb the technology tree. It took Lu Xiaoming more than 10 minutes to absorb 2 4th-level warriors. Several phone calls came in, but the aliens would not answer the phone. They could only ignore it. Later, 2 more vampires came to check, but these 2 2nd-level vampires could not see the mind beast. Not only were they killed by the alien sneak attack, but they were also eaten. After a while, another call came in, but no one answered it. After 3 calls, the phone stopped ringing. Someone also began to check the computer system. It is obvious that the vampires have discovered something wrong. It is only a matter of time before they organize a large force to kill them. I hope the vampires can be more cautious and give themselves more time. The development of the situation also satisfied Xiaoming's hopes. Faced with invaders who can occupy important places without making a sound, how can vampires not be cautious? In fact, when they organized their forces, designed multiple plans, and rushed into their own important place. This place was already empty, and even the computer records were cleared. Xiaoming even kindly lowered the coffin again. If they didn't open the coffin, they wouldn't know that the 2 elders had returned to nature. The vampires really didn't open the coffin. Only a few vampires were missing. Judging from the bloodstains on the ground, 1 or 2 more were dead. This little thing is not a reason to open the coffin and harass the leaders. Victor and Marcus are not easy to talk to. But this matter can't be let go. After discussing, the vampires tend to think that it was the work of the werewolves. Although the meaning is unclear, they must fight back. So the Death Walker armed with live ammunition and attacked on a large scale. The werewolf tribe in the night market tonight is probably going to suffer. At this time, Selena, who was still shopping with Lee Songrui and others, also received the notice. She had to leave everyone and return to the vampire mansion. Everyone shed tears and said goodbye. The eldest lady of the Lee family really likes the Selena. Although she always looks cool and arrogant, she is actually cold on the outside and warm on the inside, and she is even more doting on little girls. Brother Wen and Xiao Ming are needless to say. Such sexy beauties are very attractive. Xiao Jing'er also likes Serena's independent character. Only Zhao Yongmeng is not a otaku, and he has a mission to do, so he has to be vigilant against Serena. People only see what they want to see. In Zhao Yongmen's eyes, Serena is an experienced soldier who should be very good at shooting and hand-to-hand combat. Veterans have their own judgment methods in this regard. Serena is indeed an elite old soldier who has fought for hundreds of years. In Zhao Yongmen's eyes, she is the biggest threat. And Serena is likely to be the supernatural creature referred to in the mission. As for defeating her? Are you kidding me? Zhao Yongmeng doesn't think that this group of weak chickens on his side can deal with the woman in front of him. However, he has guessed Serena's true identity, a vampire. He couldn't help but curse Tiang Xiaoyagong and several other guys who thought they were powerful. At least leave one behind, they all ran away. The supernatural creature came to the door, but you were not there. The world is for the public, your employment fee is gone. He kept mumbling in his heart for a long time, his emotions fluctuated, and his life energy also changed with the wind and clouds. Seeing this, Yin Xiaoming almost laughed. After Selena left, Zhao Yongmeng let out a long sigh. Keeping his nerves tense all the way also consumed a lot of physical strength and energy. After hearing Zhao Yongmen's analysis that Selena was likely a supernatural creature, and possibly a vampire, Xiaoming and others nodded in agreement. It made sense. The little girl was not happy. Even if Selena is a vampire, you are not allowed to pay attention to her. Do you hear me? If we have to do the task, we can just fight other vampires. How did I complete my task? What? Everyone was upset. Then Brother Wen found that his task was also completed. But the others did not complete it? What's going on? After some discussion, it was found that the defeat of supernatural creatures in the space does not only refer to defeating by force. Selena really admitted defeat to these two people. When they were shopping and arguing about whether the clothes were good looking, Selena said to the little girl, "Okay, I admit defeat, the one chosen by my little sister is good looking." As for Zhang Wen, it was when he coaxed her to give him her phone number. A helpless look on his face. "Shit, I was defeated by you. This is my number. You are not allowed to call me if you have nothing to do. If you dare to harass me, this is also okay." The reincarnation space really has a strange sense of humor. But just defeating is not enough, the reincarnation must also realize that the other party is a supernatural creature. So when Zhao Yongmeng pointed out that Serena was a vampire, Miss Ju and Brother Wen's main task 1 was completed. The system's prompt made these two guys' noses curled up to the sky. The little loli even used this excuse to blackmail Xiao Ming for 2 more fruits. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 285. The next morning, the 4 people who went out for a solo flight last night all came back. There were a total of 9 people in this group, and they gathered again in an independent small building. This small building was just rented by Miss Li. It's strange, where did she get the money from this world? Tianxia Weigang, Kraken, and Yujian Guangan Zhaozhous, who have all completed the first round of tasks, and each of them brought back 2 supernatural creatures that were beaten and disabled. Now everyone's tasks can be completed, and they can even provide a few to the reincarnations outside the team. Zhaozhous, who probably covered a large area, and he brought back a werewolf and a vampire. According to him, he caught them casually. There were no signs of a big battle on his body, and it seemed that he won easily. Tianxia Weigang and Kraken both like to fight, and they killed a lot of monsters last night. It is probably just a convenience to bring back supernatural creatures. Too many are not easy to carry. Tianxia Weigang fought a vampire. Tianxia Weigang at level D is equivalent to a level 3 intermediate, and is capable of carrying the battlefield. Kraken fought with the werewolf, and brought back a werewolf that was about to die. The strength of him and Zhaozhous, who is actually a mystery in Xiaoming's mind. What Xiaoming knows is just the surface phenomenon. They claim and show that they are D-level combat power. It is estimated that they are reserved. With the example in front, Green Xiaoming did not want to attract too much attention, so he also took out 2 vampire mummies. The result is still eye-catching. This is no wonder. How are mummies made? It is easy to cripple a person, but it is difficult to make a mummy. Little Loli thought that the leader's guards had captured another species of supernatural creature's mummy. The 5 people who went shopping last night each killed a monster with residual blood and completed the task. However, there is still no prompt for the next round of tasks. It seems that some conditions have not been met. It may take until other reincarnations have completed the first round of tasks before entering the next round. Taking this opportunity, everyone can continue to explore this world. The first one to explore is Michael, the human doctor brought back by Kraken. After everyone's information is summarized, it can be roughly determined that this is a world of werewolves vs vampires. All the people in this team have no interest in these 2 bloodlines. At first glance, they are all people who know what's going on, and they don't look down on such primary bloodlines. So no one considers changing camps. The most likely plotline seems to be on Michael, the human being who is being stalked by the werewolf. In Xiao Minjiayuan's opinion, Michael is indeed a rare good man. It is rare to encounter such a saintly person in reality. It is estimated that he is likely to be the protagonist of the plot. Unfortunately, after a lot of questions, Michael knows nothing. He knows nothing about supernatural creatures. In desperation, he can only let the long line catch the big fish. The only 2 people who really show up in front of Michael are Kraken and Tianxia Weigang, and they don't worry that he will leak any secrets. The person who tied the bell must untie it. Kraken still knocked Michael unconscious and sent him to a park not far from the hospital where he worked. The 9-person team split up again. After knowing that the Insect King has space equipment, the work of handling the corpse was handed over to Lu Xiaoming without any hesitation. Lu Xiaoming pretended that his space equipment was not big enough and he needed to drive to deal with the bodies. Those who were not dead were temporarily stored in this house. The housekeeping was handed over to 2 girls, Datang Li Yuanji and the leader's sister. Li Songrui was the weakest in the team, so it was better for him to stay at home and watch TV. The Li family did not rely on the 13-year-old Li Songrui to fight his way out in the reincarnation space. At this stage, just make sure she is alive. When the time comes, she will naturally be put into the right team. There will be nothing to worry about her safety then. Lu Xiaojing ER's basic Qi training formula has been upgraded to level 7 in 2 days, and she even tried to learn the lightning spell in the 5 elements Taoism. She has a certain self-protection power. Besides, she is still a girl, and with her accompanying the little Loli, others are more at ease. Only Xiaoming was worried about his sister, and secretly left a uniform housekeeper and 2 special forces. The task of tracking Michael, who was released, was handed over to the four-person team of Yin Xiaoming, Zhang Wen, Kraken, and Tiang Xiaoyagong. Intelligence work cannot be relaxed. So the remaining Zhao Yongmeng and Zhao Zhuz, who are responsible for running around the city to collect intelligence. After Lu Xiaoming has dealt with the corpses, he should do the same thing. This arrangement is also orderly. And everyone has a walkie-talkie in their hands, which is quite convenient for communication. My group should be at the forefront of the task. Maybe some people will wonder why Xiaoming, a bomb maniac, didn't throw a time bomb in the vampire mansion this time. Killing a large number of vampires will definitely get more source energy. Why not do it? The reason is that this is affected by the Zerg gene. He used to be a pure human, and the idea of human centrism occupied a large position in his heart. Killing monsters, ghosts, or other creatures, he will not have a serious psychological burden. But now Xiaoming has an extra Zerg body and a lot of mental power given by the Zerg. It has also been quietly affected. No longer regard himself as a simple human. This is a subconscious mentality, which makes Xiaoming's views different from before. In Xiaoming's opinion, there are indeed fewer good vampires than bad ones, and most of them have debts of human life. But this can no longer constitute a reason for Xiaoming to massacre. Because he has seen a lot of humans, and there are also fewer good ones and more bad ones. And some humans are even more evil than vampires and werewolves. It's just that there are not many deaths of human life. But the status of death is not particularly high in Xiaoming's subconscious mind. On the one hand, it is the influence of the Zerg. The Zerg does not regard the death of the weak as a big deal, and even retains many beasts that can kill lone Zerg. More importantly, Xiaoming learned about the existence of the underworld. If people can go to the underworld after death and reincarnate again, then death is not so terrible. Life has become a process. Therefore, Xiaoming does not think he needs to interfere. Besides, there needs to be a balance between werewolves and vampires. If vampires suddenly suffer too much loss, humans will replace vampires and become the primary target of werewolves. That's why Xiaoming did not throw bombs. And if it makes too much noise, it will easily cause panic. The last riot in the world of a Chinese ghost story is still fresh in my memory. Lu Xiaoming sucked the bodies of 5 vampires and werewolves into ashes, and the task of destroying the bodies and removing the traces was perfectly completed. There were no level 4 guys among the werewolves, which made Xiaoming very dissatisfied. Those level 3 werewolves and vampires formed a perfect balance, and it seemed not a good idea to attack them. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 286. At 3:15 in the afternoon, the space prompt came, and the main task 1 of all temporary reincarnations was completed. Main task 2, go to a subway station at 6 o'clock tonight to participate in the plot, and ensure that the protagonists Michael and Selena do not die within 3 days. This sentence made every member of the 9-member team feel pregnant. It's so happy. The 2 main characters were actually met by their group and established a relationship. Although the relationship established with Michael seems a bit negative. Several people discussed for a while on the intercom and decided to continue tracking the 4-person team that followed Michael. It is estimated that Michael will definitely go to that subway station. If he drags on for too long, the 4-person team can go to the subway station first. It is better to complete this kind of time-limited task on time. The other 5 people can go to the subway station now to step on the plate. The other reincarnations will probably go there too. Only Xiaoming is not actually restricted by the task, but he should still go. Sister and brother Wen also need to watch themselves. Green Xiaoming, who was driving around the city, suddenly felt a shock in his heart and felt that someone was watching him. And this feeling should come from above his head. Xiaoming remained calm on the surface, but secretly released the Zerg map scanning skill. There was a helicopter a few hundred meters above his head, and there were several people who looked like mercenaries on the plane. They were using some kind of instrument to remotely monitor him. In fact, they were monitoring his car. But these people were just ordinary people, barely level 1. Why did they target him? He must find out. Otherwise, Green Xiaoming would not dare to bring the threat to his sister. Silver Xiaoming should be able to handle the job of protecting his sister. Xiaoming had nothing to fear from the level 1 human mercenaries. He first drove the car to a more remote place in the city. Then he got out of the car, jumped from the ground to the helicopter, and smiled at everyone inside. "Hey, do you have something to do with me?" He saw with his own eyes that a person could jump from the ground to a height of several hundred meters, and could accurately jump onto the helicopter. Several mercenaries were dumbfounded, and the Zerg King quickly took action, knocking out several mercenaries with ding, bang, crack, and snap. He drove the helicopter to a far suburb and landed it. He woke up one of the mercenaries for interrogation, and then replaced the next one. Finally, he used the skill he had just discovered, sucked a little blood from the mercenary leader with his tail, read his memory, and finally figured out the whole story. This ability to read memories by sucking blood is actually the ability of high-level vampires, and Xiaoming has already obtained it after absorbing them. But when he first got the ability, Xiaoming himself did not notice it, because he did not encounter the situation where he needed to suck blood at that time. Until today, when he drove out to destroy the corpse, Xiaoming sucked the blood of vampires and werewolves. Only then did he realize that he had such a powerful ability. Of course, this ability to read memory also has side effects. Putting most of a person's memories into his own brain must be able to bear it. If an average person puts more than 2 or 3 people's memories into his brain will explode. But Xiaoming has a level 6 mental power, and his brain is not so easily overloaded. And when he sucks the memory, Xiaoming can still choose to remember or forget it. This is not to protect the brain, but there is no need to remember many meaningless things. High mental power is good, and it can also delete memories. Through the memories of those werewolves and vampires, Xiaoming roughly knew the conflict between the two races and which powerful people there were on each side. Unfortunately, these small characters did not know the purpose of the werewolves tracking Michael. Those human mercenaries were hired by an old man named Alexander Corvinus. Alexander turned out to be the ancestor of werewolves and vampires in this world. He had experienced the plague but did not die, so he discovered that he had an immune system. His 2 sons are quite awesome. One is called William, who became the ancestor of werewolves after being bitten by a wolf. The other is Marcus, who became the ancestor of vampires after being bitten by a bat. Last night, Marcus was sucked dry by Xiaoming as a drink. Alexander felt that his own son was dead, and he also had a sense of Xiaoming. However, this sense is only for Green Xiaoming, not Silver Xiaoming. So if Green Xiaoming hides immediately and only Silver Xiaoming shows up outside, Alexander can't even find the enemy. Alexander didn't go out immediately, but sent his men to track Green Xiaoming. As for what to do after tracking him, the mercenaries didn't know what their employer meant. Xiaoming thought, sure enough, he's here. In the game, the system is set up so that players have to pay a price if they want to get something. The same may be true for the reincarnation space. There is no such thing as getting something for nothing. I killed 2 level 4 vampires, but I paid almost no price. This doesn't seem very reasonable. Now it seems that being chased by the hidden boss is probably the price. Marcus himself is already a high-level level 4 guy, what level must his father be? Xiaoming doesn't think he will be his opponent. Alas, this matter, the reincarnation space is once again caught in the crossfire, and Xiaoming misunderstood again. That's right, the reincarnation space has strict control over the gains and losses of reincarnators in the mission world. It won't let reincarnators get something for nothing. But Xiaoming is a VIP, and the reincarnation space will not control VIPs at all. This time being chased by the hidden boss is completely the autonomous behavior of the plot character. If it were any other reincarnationist, before killing Marcus and Victor, there would definitely be a vampire who would wake him up. Or some kind of accident would occur to stop the reincarnationist. It is impossible for the reincarnationist to have this kind of opportunity to pick up corpses. VIPs can pick up corpses at will, and the reincarnation space does not care. But the backlash Xiaoming suffered was a bit beyond the scope. Alexander's strength is certainly much stronger than his son. If the reincarnationist was retaliated by Alexander, there would be no chance of survival. The space will not arrange such a plot. Instead, it will stop Alexander. Xiao He is the one who makes him successful and Xiao He is the one who makes him fail. VIPs can't enjoy this kind of good thing either. Even if a god-level existence wants to deal with VIPs, the reincarnation space will not interfere. Xiaoming did not hurt these human mercenaries. In comparison, these people have been helping vampires and werewolves to clean up their butts, and what they have done is worthy of Xiaoming's admiration. Naturally, they will not hurt them. However, Xiaoming drove the helicopter away and left the men in the suburbs. They still had a lot of weapons on them, so they would not be in danger. As for the helicopter and the weapons loaded on it, Xiaoming accepted them with a smile. He also left a message for the mercenaries. The Third Transportation Committee reminds you, there are thousands of routes, but safety is the first. If you fly irregularly, your loved ones will shed tears. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 287. From the beginning, the scale of the subway station battle was several times larger than that of the original book. The vampires thought that it was the werewolves who attacked their lair last night, so they were indignant. Tonight, they will continue to attack on a large scale. Craven, the traitor and temporary leader, has no idea what to do. Although Craven has learned from the werewolves that it was not them, although there are still many suspicious things about what happened last night. But in this situation, most vampires have lost their minds, coupled with the feud between the two tribes. Craven did not dare to make any remarks to stop these brain-watered guys. The werewolves were originally framed, and they were suddenly attacked by vampires last night, suffering heavy losses. If they don't get back tonight, Lucien will not be the leader. So the werewolves are the same, tonight is a full-scale attack. There are dozens of werewolves following Michael. And the vampires are fighting against them, it is the Death Walker troops led by Selena. The combat effectiveness is also one of the best among vampires. As soon as the two sides started fighting, it was like thunder in the sky and fire in the ground. 50 or 60 hot weapons fired in succession, spraying countless flames at each other. The subway station instantly turned into a meat grinder. Special bullets are effective against the other side, but they are also terrible against ordinary people. As soon as the fire started, countless innocent people were killed and injured. At this time, both sides did not care about accidental injuries. Even the temporary reincarnations mixed in the crowd were killed and 4 were injured. Thanks to Zhang Wen, who was following Michael, he pressed Michael to the ground and lay on him to cover some stray bullets for him. So Brother Wen was also one of the wounded, and his big butt was scratched by the bullet. Michael was not shot, but was pressed by Brother Wen's weight and was almost crushed to death. Before Xiaoming could help, the fat protector summoned a uniformed nurse to heal himself. Zhang Wen's uniformed beast is more sexy than Xiaoming's, and the clothes are more seductive. And the way of healing is also different. Xiaoming's uniform nurse's treatment method is similar to magic. It's almost like a priest's healing spell. When GE doesn't know how to heal, so his uniform nurse is more like a real nurse, who can materialize medicine and tools to heal him. The treatment effect is quite good. The consumption of telekinesis is less than Xiaoming's, and the cost performance is higher. Seeing this fat man in pain and happiness, and spreading dog food at the same time, Xiaoming must help him, no wonder. A healing magic went over, and the fat man was immediately intact. Rightward arrow. The uniform nurse disappeared automatically. Rightward arrow. The fat man frowned. All the people around who could see the telekinetic beast felt very happy. It's what they deserved. Showing off their love will lead to death soon. Faced with such a fierce battlefield, the reincarnations were a little confused. After last night's investigation and today's exchange of intelligence, everyone also knew the characteristics of this world. A group of supernatural creatures, but using technological weapons to fight each other. Therefore, there was some expectation for the gunfight tonight. But I never expected that this gunfight would cause such a big scene. Dozens of submachine guns, light machine guns, and rapid-fire pistols were fired at each other. Boom, look, even grenades were used. Another reincarnation was affected and his calf was scratched by shrapnel. The battle didn't even last 3 minutes, and the subway station was already in a mess. The walls, pillars, and floors were all riddled with holes. The ceiling was fine, only about 1/3 of it was destroyed. The casualties were even more severe, and the ground was almost full of dead bodies, most of them innocent people. There were few minor injuries. The firepower of both sides was so severe that although Michael was enthusiastic and saintly, he didn't have the courage to show up to rescue the wounded at this time. That would not be saving people but sending them to die. The heavy firepower lasted for about 15 minutes before it gradually weakened. Because a small half of the members of both sides in the exchange of fire had lost their combat effectiveness, the firepower was also reduced. At the same time, the battle lines were no longer as clear as at the beginning. The battle lines are now intertwined. You are in me, and I am in you. Therefore, both sides gave up the automatic heavy firepower at the same time, to avoid accidentally hurting their own people. During this period, 3 rebirths who were overconfident wanted to take advantage, but they were easily killed by the 3rd-level warriors of both sides. However, most rebirths, that is, Xiaoming's group, they behaved like ordinary humans. They were either lying on the ground or hiding behind the bunker. Vampires and werewolves were busy fighting each other and would not pay attention to the non-threatening humans around them. They just ignored the crowd and did not actively want to kill people. At least not this time. Of course, if you are unlucky, you will be next to a wounded vampire, who may suck your blood to heal himself. One wounded rebirth died in this situation. Werewolves are more dangerous than vampires. Vampires at least have a bit of aristocracy and are more pretentious. But werewolves are closer to beasts and have a more violent temper. They may just be angry because they are suppressed by the firepower of vampires, so they kill innocent people around them. As a result, 4 reincarnations were killed. So far, except for the 9 members of the team, there is only 1 intact and 1 injured reincarnation left. As for the reincarnations that have been killed, some may have chosen to revive, but none of the resurrected reincarnations returned to the subway station. Xiaoming's group's fighting power is generally a bit high, and several werewolves who were impatient were killed by this group. On the other hand, on the vampire side, Selena recognized Li Songrui, Lu Xiaojing, and others. So she specifically ordered her subordinates not to deliberately hurt innocent passers-by. Therefore, most vampires controlled themselves and did not provoke anyone they should not provoke. Selena also took the initiative to lead people to meet with Miss Ju and others to protect them. At the same time, she also wanted to get some external help. When she met everyone last night, Selena knew that this group of people was very powerful. Especially the leader who could drive ghosts. But in this battle, Xiaoming's 5 ghosts all floated to the ceiling and did not participate in the battle at all. Maybe they didn't see themselves. Selena didn't believe this. She chose to take the initiative to bring people over, and the meaning was also very clear: I'm in front of you, so don't pretend not to see it. Don't help. Green Xiaoming was worried about bringing danger to his teammates, so the king of insects did not come to the subway station. Tianxia Weigang and Zhao Yongmeng stayed by the little lowly in such fierce firepower, not daring to leave half a step. A sword light coldly illuminated Zhu and Kraken, who are still watching and not intervening. But they were mainly watching Xiaoming, wanting to see how he would act. The two girls were a little scared. It looked like they were only a stone's throw away from death. In fact, they were thousands of miles away, and the people around them would never let them get hurt. For a moment, the focus seemed to be on Xiaoming. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 288. Yin Xiaoming weighed the situation and decided that he should make a move. Not only were there several people watching him. The look in the eyes of the little lowly and her sister's eyes when they looked at him was full of anticipation. Of course, the little lowly just wanted to eat something delicious to calm her nerves, but Xiaoming didn't understand. Selena also wanted to see the true combat power of these ghosts. Zhao Yongmeng and Tianxia Weigang wanted to test what Xiaoming was capable of. Now Zhang Xiaoming's physical fitness has reached the advanced level 2. There are many reasons for this. Xiaoming's recent improvement in various supernatural energies will continue to be fed back to his body. The energy flows in Xiaoming's body and naturally nourishes his flesh and blood. Xiaoming couldn't tell which one was the main one. I personally think that both cultivation and Zerg's spiritual power are more important. And the level is actually just a rough concept. Most of the level 2 ones are biased, some may be powerful, and some may be fast. People like Xiaoming are of average development. There are no strengths, nor are there obvious weaknesses. What Xiaoxian improves seems to be something more essential. It will not be reflected in the attributes of strength, physique, or agility for the time being. But the improvement is real. Xiaoming can feel it. Level 2 advanced physical fitness is useless in this battlefield, and cannot withstand such strong firepower. And it does not suit Xiaoming's style. Even if he can withstand it, he will not rush forward. If he has undead magic but does not use it, isn't that stupid? Xiaoming's spiritual strength is far greater than his physical strength. After Death Harvest was issued, the effect of the sudden increase in mental power was clearly seen. About half of the corpses in the subway station stood up. Among the more than 30 skeleton soldiers, 6 actually had bone armor and swords. Among the more than a dozen zombies, 2 also had bone kitchen knives in their hands. But no ghosts were harvested. It doesn't matter if you can't harvest them. Xiao Hong opened the 100 ghosts box and released more than 30 ghosts at once. The total number of troops is several times that of the werewolves. All the werewolves were lying down in less than a minute. They died so easily. Theoretically, the difference in strength between the two sides was not that big. However, because the werewolves were standing right in the middle of the corpses, they were caught off guard and were besieged. They didn't even have time to transform, and the werewolves' powerful melee ability was not fully utilized, and they were all knocked down. The leader was a level 3 primary werewolf. He had transformed before, but he became the focus of the ghosts' attack. Xiao Hong personally took Matt and several ghosts to deal with him. Although this werewolf can see ghosts. But as a physical monster, even if he can see ghosts, he probably can't hit them. It can be said that his death is quite aggrieved. Compared to being tickled to death by ghosts, he probably wants to be killed by Selena. It's better to clamp him to death with his thighs, so that he can die without regrets and smile in his grave. There are more than one werewolves who think like him, and there are even many vampires. The Samsara and vampires who were watching the fun were a little speechless about this victory. They were even beating their heads in their hearts. This was too exaggerated. It doesn't matter if we fight to the death here, if the leader is happy, he can directly summon the undead and kill us all. Of course, they had some misunderstandings about the magic of the dead. Without the corpses on this ground, it would be very troublesome for Xiaoming to create so many undead soldiers. Xiaoming's Bright Summit did store enough skeletons, but it would take a long time to summon them one by one. And Xiaoming was not very familiar with the magic of summoning skeletons. In addition, Xiaoming did not know the magic of summoning zombies. It was far inferior to the special magic of Death Harvest. But the prerequisite was that many people had to die first. Even Xiaoming himself did not expect the result of using Death Harvest. The explosion of mental power also made Xiaoming's control over magic stronger by several levels. Normally, the conversion rate of undead soldiers would not reach the current level of nearly 50% after a Death Harvest. Even elite soldiers appeared among them. With the help of more than 30 ghost soldiers, this kind of record is considered normal. But it is definitely not normal when it happens to Xiaoming. Everyone who saw the scene was surprised. Except for the members of Mingjing team. And Xiaoming deliberately pretended to be X. He summoned the uniform butler and opened the front door of Guangmingding. Let these skeleton soldiers and zombies line up and walk in with the spoils. Disappeared in front of everyone. In the eyes of others, although they can't see it, they can feel it. That's probably the so-called gate of hell, right? The vampires quickly accepted Xiaoming's character as a necromancer. They are also supernatural creatures, and now there is one more playing with the undead, which is not too special. The surprise of the reincarnationists has their own focus. The two reincarnationists who didn't know Xiaoming and were still alive were just shocked by Xiaoming's strong magic power. A little dissatisfied, why did such a strong person enter the same world as himself? If he is a temporary reincarnation, I will take off his head and kick it like a ball. But they couldn't be too dissatisfied. Without Xiaoming, the mission would have failed. So they were both quite conflicted. Xiaoming knew that these were not all the transformed undead. In fact, in the process of transformation, some dead vampires and werewolves were also harvested. So Xiaoming also got one vampire zombie and one werewolf zombie. There is such a thing. What will happen to the zombies harvested by vampires and werewolves? After Xiaoming felt it, he took them into Guangmingding. He planned to study them later when he had time. Zhao Yongmeng and Tianxia Weigong were both shocked by Xiaoming's strength. Of course, they also saw that Xiaoming himself did not make a move. It was all supported by this special magic. They both played Magic Planet, but they had never seen such magic in the game so far. So they suspected that it might be a special skill that Xiaoming learned in a secret realm or a reincarnation world. This is precious information. Faced with such a powerful skill, Tianxia Weigong felt that it was difficult for him to compete, and at most he could just run away. It was just that Tianxia Weigong thought he could run away because he couldn't see the ghosts floating in the sky. The characteristic of the reincarnationist is that the foundation is poor. Tianxia Weigong and Selena before him are both at level 3. Selena can see ghosts. Tianxia Weigong is already at the intermediate level of level 3, but he can't see ghosts. This is the difference caused by the foundation. Selena is an old vampire who has been around for hundreds of years. The foundation is solid. Reincarnationists are mostly quick learners, so it is inevitable that the foundation is a bit weak. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 289. What bothered Zhao Yongmeng and Tianxia Weigong the most was how to use the news that Zhang Xiaoming is a very strong necromancer. Based on Xiaoming's performance, he was the strongest among the temporary reincarnationists. He was a real potential stock, and his own forces must win him over. One trick to conquer the world. Just this one trick of necromancer magic was a team battle level skill. With this, Xiaoming would not have trouble forming a team among the primary or even intermediate reincarnationists. He never thought that Xiaoming had already formed a team, with 4 or 5 members. It would be a waste not to bring such a person into his team. Tianxia Weigang was already considering what kind of recruitment conditions should be offered. Zhao Yongmeng knew even more. He not only knew Zhang Xiaoming's real body, but also his clone. If the real body had this level, the development potential of the clone could be imagined. Didn't you see that the most famous event recently, the event of attracting light spirits, was related to his clone? It can't be seen that although Zhang Xiaoming's name is ordinary, he is not an ordinary person. The Thin Protector thinks that it is best for this person to be directly under the military, or at least give Xiaoming an honorary position. Tianxia Weigang is an affiliated staff of the Li family, a guest official, and it costs money to invite him to help. However, his relationship with the Li family is indeed very close, otherwise it would be impossible to ask him to protect their little princess. Zhao Yongmeng belongs to the military and has no direct relationship with the Li family. He participated in protecting Li Songrui just by chance and did some private work. They both felt that this trip to do private work was a profit. They took advantage of the Li family. Because if it weren't for the insistence of the little loli, they didn't want to team up with Xiaoming and others. At most, they would just exchange information. In that case, it's hard to say how the situation will develop. As the genuine little princess of the Li family, Li Songrui doesn't care much about Xiaoming's strength. There are many people in the Li family who are better than Xiaoming. What she cares about most is the delicious food in Xiaoming's pocket. Therefore, her desire to recruit Xiaoming was the strongest. She had already had the idea. As for Xiaoming's excellent strength, that was a gift. Catch a rabbit on New Year's Eve, it's the same whether you have it or not. Brother leader, you are so awesome. Do you want to follow me? I'll pay you 1 million a month. The little loli pulled Xiaoming's sleeve and made a direct offer. Puff! Several people sprayed water from their mouths at the same time. Xiao Jing'er, Zhang Wen, Zhao Yongmeng, Tianxia Weigang, and Selina and several death walkers under her. This little girl looks so cute when she is serious, like a little adult. What she said is okay. But the uncontrollable saliva on her mouth exposed her real purpose. Xiaoming just rubbed Miss Ju's hair with his hands without making any expression. Instead, he pointed at a person and said to Selina, "These werewolves seem to be looking for him. Selina, do you know why?" Faced with a strong man who can easily kill all of her people, Selina will not be servile, but she dare not hide too much. "We caught a few werewolves last night for interrogation. Now we only know that the werewolves are following him, and the specific reason is still unclear." Selina paused and said, "I want to take this person back. You have helped us a lot. Do you want to go back with us? The werewolves dare not go to our place." She said this with a guilty conscience, but she really wanted to tie these fighting forces to her side. Xiaoming could feel her thoughts by looking at her life energy. After the surge of mental power, Xiaoming's perception of life energy became more delicate. Going to the vampire mansion is a good choice. In the confrontation between werewolves and vampires, there may not be any safe places in the whole city. Besides, I have Bright Summit, so I can leave the vampire mansion at any time. I don't worry about the other party turning against me. And from the perspective of the camp, after this battle, Xiaoming is indeed more disgusted with werewolves. That race is too tyrannical. However, he cannot make the decision for everyone, so Xiaoming looks at the other people. Of course, everyone in Mingjing's team supports the leader. Only Tianxia Weigang and Zhao Yongmeng are afraid that the young lady will be in danger, and they want to get closer to Xiaoming. They are a little hesitant. Little Loli is not willing to leave her future private chef, so she immediately hugged Xiaoming's arm and firmly stated her position. The main task is to protect Michael and Selena. How can you protect them if you don't follow? The two big men looked at each other and nodded to Xiaoming. Everyone got on the vampire's vehicle, took the bodies of the dead soldiers and the wounded on the vampire side, and set off to return to the vampire mansion. The other two reincarnations also got on the car. In the distance, Green Xiaoming took out the bodies of the werewolves and sucked them into mummies one by one. Finally, we got the exact clue from the third-level werewolf. It turned out that the werewolves were looking for a way to merge the two bloodlines of vampires and werewolves. And the key lies in Michael. Alexander had 3 children in total. Marcus created a vampire lineage, William created a werewolf lineage, and another son remained a human. The one with the purest bloodline in this lineage is Michael. His blood may be the key to the fusion of the two bloodlines. Xiaoming started to complain again. It's easy to merge. I will eat you all, turn into eggs and spit them out to ensure fusion. Maybe I can merge more bloodlines. After learning the news, Xiaoming secretly stole some blood from Michael and drank it directly with the straw on his tail. It really worked. The king of insects had absorbed a lot of essence from vampires and werewolves before, but the improvement was quite limited. But with just a few drops of Michael's blood, it was like a catalyst, allowing the essence of the two races absorbed by the king of insects to begin to merge at the cellular level. It brought a qualitative improvement to the king of insects' body. The king of insects clearly felt that the attributes of his flesh had risen to the 4th level. It jumped a big level. It seemed quite good, but in fact it was just barely on par with Victor. It was still far from Marcus. This was because the king of insects' body was not strong enough. It was transformed from the lowest level squid worm, which led to the rapid improvement now. It seemed unreasonable. It absorbed a 4th level high, a 4th level low, and so many low-level vampires and werewolves. The body also had the quality of the 3rd level. Altogether, it only reaches the low level of level 4. Is this math taught by the physical education teacher? The fundamental reason is very simple: the Zerg gene of the Zerg king actually has stronger development potential. So the reference to vampires and werewolves is just to a certain extent. It will not develop in that direction. In a nutshell, I don't like it. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 290. Huh? Hummo, tisk tisk. A series of meaningless sounds came out from Zhang Wen's mouth in the co-pilot seat. Selena, who was driving, Xiaoming in the back seat, and the two beautiful girls all looked at him sideways. What's wrong with this guy? The little loli was the most direct, kicking the back of Brother Wen's chair. Fatty, stop whining, everyone knows you are a pig, no need to emphasize. No, Zhang Wen paused for a moment, then explained, I seem to have come here before. It's just that the time was too short and I didn't pay attention. The little loli didn't think so. If you have been here, then what's the fuss? Boring. Xiaoming and his sister looked at each other meaningfully. They had already guessed it. The fat man said he had come here, not yesterday, but on Pangustar, when he was playing games. He entered a similar secret realm. It was just discovered just now. Brother Protector, do you remember what important things happened when you came here last time? After receiving the eye signal from his sister, Xiaoming asked. Oh, nothing happened, and he left after staying for a few hours, the fat man said cryptically. In the reincarnation space, it is very dangerous to talk too much. The fat man had to control his impulse to talk nonsense and try to be concise. Xiaoming and his sister understood as soon as they heard it. Zhang Wen must have been here, but he died soon after. So he didn't have much information to provide. That's why he hummed and groaned, otherwise he would have a legitimate reason to talk. It seems that it's a problem caused by holding back. The reincarnationists can't provide any useful information, So we still have to ask from the natives. Green Xiaoming, who is still away from everyone, sucked a little blood from several living vampire mummies in Guangmingding and read their memories. He sorted out a relatively complete understanding of the vampire clan. It turns out that there is another leader of the vampires, a female vampire, Emilia. She is the owner of the empty coffin. Soon she will return to the vampire mansion and prepare to sleep, and at the same time she will wake up another leader, Marcus, to lead the vampire clan in her place. Xiaoming also discovered from the memories of these vampires that there are actually undercurrents within the vampire clan. The current temporary leader, Craven, is actually a traitor. It's not that he betrayed the vampire clan. He just made a secret alliance with Lucien, the leader of the werewolves, and wanted to kill the 3 leaders of the vampires. Replace them himself. This brain-dead guy, if the 3 leaders of the vampires are dead, what power does he have to ensure that the werewolves will not exterminate the vampire clan? There are so many people like this. Those who are ambitious and strong enough are heroes or heroes. Those who have ambitions but are completely incomparable in strength are just high-minded and low-skilled. Guys like Craven, who don't consider improving their own strength and only want to rely on conspiracy and trickery to get things done, are just scoundrels. They are not good enough to do things, but they are more likely to cause trouble. The vampire guarding the important place where the coffins were stored was considered to be Craven's confidant. The female vampire Erica also liked Craven very much. From their memories, Xiaoming basically knew all of Craven's plots. Speaking of which, killing Victor and Marcus was also a great help to Craven. Suddenly, Xiaoming's circle noticed something strange. The density of werewolves around was increasing, and a large net was gradually forming, surrounding his convoy. Fortunately, Xiaoming's circle was large enough. If he was suddenly attacked, it would be troublesome. His group of people might be wiped out. He glanced at Kraken and Zhao Zhuzhu in the car in front of him in the circle. Xiaoming still couldn't see through their disguise, nor could he tell their combat power level. Well, with himself and these 2 mysterious masters, they probably wouldn't be wiped out. Stop, Xiaoming immediately said to Selena in an imperative tone, if there is a situation, notify everyone to stop. Selena has extremely rich combat experience. The order was immediately issued and the brakes were stepped on. Master, what happened? Selena asked, and the eyes of several people in the car were also focused on Xiaoming. Xiaoming quickly explained the situation, we are exposed. Hundreds of werewolves are surrounding us from all directions about 1 kilometer away. They will arrive soon. What he thought in his heart was that it was not only werewolves, but also some vampires who were surrounding us. They did not fight when they met the werewolves. It was obvious that they were in the same group. These vampires were probably Craven's subordinates. It seemed that Craven and Selena were not very harmonious, but it was not appropriate to talk about this now. There, Xiaoming pointed to a tall office building with 70 or 80 floors on the side of the road and said, we hide there to defend and call for reinforcements immediately. Selena saw that the building seemed to be a dead place, but when she thought of the master's undead magic, she instantly understood Xiaoming's idea. At the same time, she was also convinced that the master was definitely not playing tricks on her, but really believed that there were werewolves surrounding her and was making arrangements to deal with it. The strongest person had arranged this, so Selena naturally obeyed. Following her order, the group quickly abandoned the vehicle and rushed into the office building with all the weapons. On the way, some vampires naturally expressed their confusion. How could they react so strongly just because of a word from an outsider? Don't they want to investigate? This statement also resonated with many Death Walkers. Selena seemed to trust that human too much. Although he was very strong, he might not be in the same group with the vampires. Selena's senses were very sharp. She could feel that this group of reincarnations had no ill will towards her. More importantly, she was the only one who could see the nearly 100 ghosts flying in the sky. These ghosts alone could instantly wipe out this team of Death Walkers. The leader simply didn't bother to deceive them. There was no need. But this matter was not easy to explain. While she was hesitating, Xiao Ming made a prompt decision and pulled out the traitor that Craven had sent to Selena's team. Xiao Ming's body was only a level 2 senior, and he was not strong enough to suppress the traitor. The one who really suppressed the traitor was Xiao Hong, a level 3 senior. Anyway, most of the people present couldn't see Xiao Hong, so Xiao Ming was happy to take advantage of the situation. Vampires are a race with a long lifespan. Unexpectedly, the longer they live, the more afraid they are of death. The elves in the game are also immortal, but they value honor the most and are not afraid of death. Compared with the two, vampires are really low. Under violent coercion, the traitor told everything he knew about Craven. The plot is so detailed and the details are so rich that other Death Walkers can't help but believe it. Even Selena just found out that Craven has so many tricks. This is the result of the limited knowledge of this traitor. If they knew that Craven wanted to kill the 3 leaders and replace them, who knows what their reaction would be.